Occurred, 2100 location, Indianapolis, Indiana. Shape, light duration, 30 to 45 minutes. Characteristics: there was an aura or haze around the object. The object emitted other objects. Unfortunately, I do not remember the date. I was on my web TV and it was around 9 o'clock to 10 p.m. I saw white glowing lights shooting through the sky. It was not an airplane nor a spotlight. The lights were coming two at a time and then a third. They would stop for about 45 seconds or so. I took out my binoculars but couldn't tell what it was. It was cloudy and the lights were bright enough to see through the clouds. I was online at the time and described it to my support group members. However, I told no one else but my husband, who was sleeping at the time. I was not a believer in UFOs, but this has left me deeply disturbed. I remember it was around the beginning of the new year 2000.
Occurred, August 15, 1954. 2030 location, Indianapolis, Indiana. Shape, duration, 7 seconds. It appeared to be a fast-moving white cloud in level flight when, a summer evening, the estimated year was 1954 or possibly 1953. The month may have been July or August. Where, Indianapolis, Indiana. Outdoor movie theater bordered by Kentucky Avenue to the north and Tibbs Avenue to the west. The movie screen was near the Tibbs Avenue border. Time and sky conditions: the sun had set with the sky still blue and cloudless. Wind, calm. It was still too light to start showing the movie. Observation: I was working outside at the theater when I saw a silent white cloud, see illustration, a few degrees above the southern horizon and moving rapidly to the northwest. I lost sight of it as it went behind the movie screen, but it appeared again at the north edge of the screen. It appeared to reduce its travel to the north and was going away from me into the western sky. Its shape was a diminishing dot with the color becoming redder with increasing distance. It moved horizontally without any climbing or descending maneuvers. I estimate the object moved through about 90 degrees of azimuth in less than 8 seconds. I estimate the length of the object appeared to match about half an inch at arm's length. A number of theater patrons saw it. The following morning, the Indianapolis Star newspaper had a 3 or 4 inch article about the police department receiving many phone calls from people who saw it. The article also reported that the flight crew of a commercial flight approaching Indianapolis had seen this event.
Occurred, the 7th of August 1957, 1 o'clock location, Indianapolis, Indiana. Shape, light duration, 1 hour. Characteristics: there were lights on the object, there was an aura or haze around the object changed color, there were aircraft in the vicinity or aircraft chasing the object, flashing light over Indiana. Sighting of UFO over Indiana from Indianapolis, Indiana, flying neigh into NW, Ohio, flashing lights red to green to white blue, travels fast at times and stood still at other times. Approximately 5,000 to 6,000 feet altitude. Witnessed by numerous Indiana residents along its path, including police officers. Sighting found in newspaper articles of the time, not currently in database.
Occurred, June 15, 1963, 2200 location, Indianapolis, Indiana. Shape, disk duration, 5 minutes. Characteristics: there were lights on the object. Low-flying huge disk spotted in Indianapolis, Indiana, 1963, by a group outside at dark. A small group of neighborhood teenagers were outside in the early evening just talking and hanging out. All of us spotted a rotating object approaching low but with no sound. It stopped directly over us. It had green lights revolving around it, hovered, and then sped off. I was 17 years old, now retired and living in Colorado. This has bothered me for 56 years. One of the other people who saw it became my husband several years later, is an MD and very high up in the Air Force when he retired. We reported this to the Indianapolis airport and was told we probably saw nothing. This was definitely not a joke to us, scared us all pretty badly. I was an educator for 30 years. All of our group became professional people. From that day forward, I became a complete believer in UFOs as I witnessed one and will never forget it.
Occurred, the 2nd of January 1965, 7:30 location, Indianapolis, Indiana. Shape, circle. Duration, unsure. 1965, in Indianapolis, Indiana, planet-looking object was seen hovering over two-story home. No lights or sound. Approx. 1965 or 1967, I lived in the Indianapolis area of Indiana. I was in 1st or 2nd grade. I was walking to school one day when I saw an object above a house. It was above a two-story home and much larger than the home it was above. The object looked like a planet. It had two different colors, or at least darker and lighter areas, but no lights or windows. It made no sound at all. It just hovered above the home, didn't get higher or lower, and just rotated in a circle above the home. I was standing on the sidewalk in front of this home. So, I got a good look at this object. I remember looking at it for windows or lights. I watched it for a while, and then decided I should go home and tell somebody. When I got back with my parents, it was gone. They told me others had reported it also. I can't be exact on the year, but I think it was 1965. And, it must have been winter because when I got to school, I remember the teacher telling me I was late and hurry up and take my coat off. I remember the coat was a heavy winter coat. I also have no idea on how long I watched the object. I still wonder what it was after all of these years. I hope someone else saw this and knows.
Occurred, September 15, 1965, 1500 location, Indianapolis, Indiana. Shape, egg. Duration, 20 seconds. Characteristics, there were lights on the object. Zigzagging egg. In daytime, it was early fall 1965, late afternoon, and we had just had some rain. The rain had stopped and dark grey clouds were scudding overhead. My parents went outside with my sister and for some reason I was still in the house. As I was going through the dining room area to get to the back door, I passed a window looking toward the east. Something caught my eye in the sky over some trees. It appeared to be an egg-shaped object that was emitting its own brilliant light source. Not silver, but like an egg-shaped light bulb in the sky. It really stood out against those grey clouds. It was coming toward where I was watching it out the window and it was really moving. At first the movement of it really puzzled me because it was going back and forth advancing toward me until I realized that it was in a zigzag motion horizontally while flying. Then the object streaked out of the window space while making a sharp turn toward the west where I lost sight of it. I burst out the back door and caught a very quick look at it as it went through the sky at an incredible speed through a break in the trees. This object crossed a large part of the sky in just a blink of an eye and made absolutely no sound. No plane or jet could do that back then or now and be lit up like this thing was. Of course I just happened to be passing the window when I saw it, but since it made no sound, my family, who were outside at the time, missed it completely because there was no reason to look up.
Occurred, August 20th, 1966, 1 o'clock location, Indianapolis, Indiana. Shape, light. Duration, 25 minutes. Red light in tree in August, 1966. I was a 17-year-old high school girl. Me, my younger sister and mother and father had gotten up early on this August day, 1 a.m., to pack up our car to start a weeks-long vacation trip out west through 7 states. As we were packing up the trunk of our 1963 Chevy, something caught my eye in the yard next to ours. Back then the yard to the left of our house had a large apple tree growing in it. Now I never would have even glanced at the blackened yard or tree. But what caught my attention immediately was a small red orb just sitting there halfway up in the tree facing our driveway. The red light did not reflect on the leaves. It was a dull red color. Well, when I saw that light, the hairs went up on the back of neck and I was immediately spooked. And I think everyone knows when they are seeing something that is unnatural and shouldn't be there. And because I was a kid and my father was packing up the car with military precision, I didn't say anything about it while we were finishing up loading the car. As we were backing up the darkened driveway, I was so frightened I didn't look at the light, but I knew it was still there. After about 20 minutes of driving, we got out on the highway and I said to my mom, "Did you see that light in the tree?" She said, "Yeah, I saw that. What was it?" She added that maybe it was the light up on top of the telephone pole. Back then the poles had glass transformers on top, and when they had an overload they would turn red. Well, I thought maybe that was it and forgot about it. When we returned from our trip a week later, I looked at the tree and the spot where the light had been was just about 5 feet above my head. The transformer is about 20 feet away from the tree and 25 feet above it. So that could not have been the explanation. Since this happened, I have read that sometimes UFOs send down small red balls or orbs, and maybe they're observation things. It sure did look like it was watching us, and we interrupted whatever it was up to. And I know this light did not belong in that tree. I never saw anything like that ever again.